Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and welcome to the first video of 2024. I hope you guys had a great New Year's celebration, and today we're going to take a very early look into my Gameweek 21 transfer plans. It is still quite a while away, so I would advise everyone to hold off on your transfers. I know most of us are staring at red flags. I am also staring at 2 red flags here in my starting 11, and also one on my bench in Adingra as well, but I'm not making any moves yet because there will be games before the Gameweek 21 deadline. Whether it's in the EFL Cup or whether it's in the FA Cup, there will be games being played for the Premier League teams that could of course bring some injuries, or the landscape may change, and therefore the players that we may want to go for could also change by the time we get to the Game Week 21 deadline. So I would say to hold off on your transfers, but I will discuss at least what's going on in my mind for Game Week 21, the players that I'm looking to bring in as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. Just on that as well, I will be giving away a Fantasy Football Hub membership to one lucky subscriber as a token of appreciation for all the support that you guys showed me throughout the whole of last year. So if you want to enter, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and you will be entered into the draw, which I will announce the winner on the Game Week 22 deadline stream, because unfortunately I will not be able to stream on the Game Week 21 deadline, so that's why it is now on the Game Week 22 deadline where I'll make the announcement. So jumping into my team proper, this is how the team looks like without transfers made. Loads of flags here. I have Salah and Son. Both of them are leaving for their respective tournaments. Adingra on the bench, currently nursing an injury. Don't really know whether he will be going to the African Cup of Nations or not. But whether or not that's the case, he will not be an option for me. So loads of flags. I have 2 free transfers and 2.6 million in the bank. Now my bench is really thin. I have Taylor, Livramento and Adingra, none of whom I'm super confident to play in Game Week 21. Maybe arguably Taylor, but the way Luton are playing, I do fancy them scoring against Burnley. So I don't really think I want to use anyone on my bench. And of course, I have 2 red flags in my team with Salah and Son, who will not be playing from Game Week 21 onwards. So I think it is pretty straightforward that for Game Week 21, I will be using 2 of my free transfers to remove Salah and Son. Now, of course, there is some talk of whether Erling Haaland will be back for Game Week 21 against Newcastle. And looking at the way Newcastle played against Liverpool last night, I think we would want Erling Haaland back for that fixture. And that's also one of the reasons why I wouldn't move early, because the Manchester City game for Game Week 21 is not the early kickoff, but it is the game right after the early kickoff. So there is a chance that we may get news as to whether Erling Haaland will start. And for me, that will also mean that I need to spend a transfer there as well to bring Erling Haaland back. So I think looking at it objectively, the rest of my players are fine. If I ignore Salah and Son, I have Areola playing Sheffield away. That's a perfectly fine fixture. Porro, Trent and Konza, none of them are suspended. I know Trent picked up his 5th yellow against Newcastle, but the suspension threshold has increased to 10 yellow cards now. So Trent is not suspended for the Bournemouth game. He will be available. So Porro, Trent and Konza in defense, perfectly fine. I have Palmer against Fulham, Saka against Crystal Palace, and then up front I have Darwin Núñez, Solanke and Ollie Watkins. So let's say I spend my 2 free transfers looking at replacements for Salah and Son, which I'll touch on in the transfer tinkering section. I will have a full playing 11, and I guess the only player that I would have a bit of doubt on is Darwin Núñez, because yes, Salah is leaving for the African Cup of Nations, but Jota is back into the team now. So I would assume that there will be 4 attackers sharing the 3 forward spots. And those 4 attackers are Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz, and also Jota, who has come back from injury. So because of that, I feel like if I don't bring Haaland in, I will still be a little bit uncomfortable having Darwin Núñez. So my preference is actually that Erling Haaland be back in time for Game Week 21, and I take the hit to do Darwin Núñez out for Erling Haaland, and of course then also replace Salah and Son with the respective midfield replacements. So that will be my plan for Game Week 21. I'm likely to remove both Salah and Son and then bring Haaland in for a hit if he's fit. Now, in terms of different strategies for those of you watching this video, I think there is a perfectly sound strategy of keeping either one of Salah and Son, because some of you guys are not in a position like mine where you have a playable bench. Maybe you have Gordon on the bench, and maybe you have other Arsenal defenders on the bench that are fine to come into the starting 11 for you in Game Week 21 as well, right? So in those situations, I think some teams can deploy the strategy of keeping either one of Salah and Son, and then downgrading one of them to maybe, Richarlison, Bowen, Foden, whichever one that you want to go for, and then use the funds to upgrade one of your forwards to bring Erling Haaland back. So I think that's a perfectly fine strategy. I don't think that every team has to sell both Salah and Son, but just for my case, I think I will have to sell both of them and then look to bring them back later on when they're back from their respective tournaments. So now let's move on to the transfer tinkering section, where I'm going to discuss a couple of replacements that I'm looking at for Salah and Son. So this is my team on the Fantasy Football Hub Transfer Planner, and let's take a look at some replacements for Salah and Son. So I think the very obvious ones that a lot of people are discussing are Foden, Richarlison, and Bowen. Now, if you guys have already gone for Foden in Game Week 20, where he played Sheffield and got a 12-point haul, really great returns there for Foden. I think he looks really good for the next few game weeks as well. And just touching on Foden also, I'm just going to check my notes right now because I've taken a look at the fixtures moving forward. I will release a future doubles and blanks video where I discuss a little bit more in depth as to the landscape of FPL moving forward. But at least touching on Man City assets and Phil Foden in particular, why I think he will be a good asset to consider is because from Game Week 21 now, all the way until Game Week 29, there will be no blanks for Manchester City. The only blank for Manchester City would likely come in Game Week 29, and before that, they still do have that potential double game week where they will need to reschedule the Man City versus Brentford game that they missed because of the Club World Cup. So because of that, there is a good chance that either Game Week 25, City would double, or in Game Week 28, City could double. That would just really depend on when the Man City versus Brentford fixture is rescheduled. So in terms of Foden as an asset for a double game week, I think a lot of us will be wanting to, double or even triple up on Man City assets for their double. So I think bringing Phil Foden in, for me, should be a priority right now. Probably ahead of Bowen and Richarlison if I am to choose between all three of them. So I'm going to try and prioritize Phil Foden here. So I'm going to take Salah out and I'm going to bring Foden in. Of course, there's loads of money in the bank after we sell Salah and Son because they're pretty expensive, but that money will be used to bring Erling Haaland back, either in Game Week 21 now if you get news that he's fit, or in 22 at the latest, I would imagine. So Foden in, I think he will be my priority ahead of Bowen and Richarlison. And then when I'm considering either Richarlison or Bowen, I think for the time being, I'm recording this before the West Ham Brighton game, but I think regardless, I still think that Jarrod Bowen is an asset that looks really, really sharp. I'm not saying that Richarlison is not sharp. I'm not saying that Richarlison wouldn't do well during this period. But I think in terms of consistency, form, etc., I think I just have to go with Bowen here, who plays Sheffield away in Game Week 21. Also having the better fixture than Richarlison, because Richarlison does have Manchester United away. And then of course, just to touch on another fixture congestion or fixture situation that could happen in the future, it is that Richarlison could very well blank in Game Week 26. Now the reason why this is the case, again I'm checking my notes, the reason why this is the case is because Game Week 26 will be the EFL Cup final. There are a couple of teams still in the EFL Cup final, namely Liverpool, Fulham, and Chelsea. The last one is Middlesbrough, but they're obviously not in the Premier League, so it would not affect the Premier League fixtures in any way. So these three teams are still in the EFL Cup, and we will only get confirmation on who goes to the final after the Game Week 21 deadline. We will get it before the 22 deadline, but it's still after the Game Week 21 deadline. So we will have to kind of make this decision in the dark. And I would say that because Chelsea are playing Middlesbrough, they are favourites to enter the final and face either one of Liverpool or Fulham. And in that case, if Chelsea do reach that EFL Cup final, Game Week 26 will be a blank for Tottenham and Chelsea, because that will be the weekend where Chelsea will face whoever that they face in the EFL Cup final that weekend. So Game Week 26 is likely to be a blank for a number of teams that are still involved in the EFL Cup, and Richarlison could very well therefore just miss out because Chelsea is still in it. So I think for the time being, I am favouring Foden and Bowen. And then of course, just to touch on the last potential transfer that I could make, is of course if Erling Haaland is back fit and available, it will be Darwin Núñez out for Erling Haaland. Right, so hopefully we get some news on that before the Game Week 21 deadline. But at least for the time being, I would say that this is probably how my team is going to look like for Gameweek 21. So Areola in goal, Trent, Porro, Konza, there's Foden, Bowen, Saka, Palmer. Up front, there's Watkins, Haaland, and Solanke. So let me know what you guys think and what you guys are doing with your teams for Game Week 21 and who you are considering for Salah and Son replacements. Now, if I were to go a little bit differential, there was one player that I really liked and I really wanted to jump on because the fixtures are starting to turn for him, and that is Olise. Now, the reason why I haven't put him in this team is because at this point in time, the thing with Olise is that he's an injury doubt. He is currently flagged on the official FPL website, and in terms of the coming fixtures for him, it is really good. Right, so Game Week 21, he has Arsenal, but after that in 22, there's Sheffield, Brighton, Chelsea at home, Everton away, Burnley at home. They are quite high up the fixture ticker for at least the next 6 game weeks. So I do like it, and of course he is in really fine form. So I was really hoping that he would come out unscathed of the Crystal Palace match that happened in Game Week 20. But of course now he's flagged. There will be a lot of time. There will be a couple of games that Crystal Palace will also play before the Game Week 21 deadline. If Olise is back fit, I think there is a chance that I could go for a differential there as well. So that's just a little bit of a nugget of a differential. Hopefully it helps you guys as well. Let me know who else you're considering aside from the obvious ones like Richarlison, Bowen, and Foden. But if not, thank you guys for watching to this point. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you're new around here. Once again, there's going to be a lot of content coming out for Game Week 21 because there is quite a long while before then. So there will be a fixture ticker video, and there will also be a best Salah and Son replacements video as well. So do keep a lookout for those, and I will see you guys in the next video very soon. Bye bye.